I woke up one night to hear my name whispered beside my ear. Not loud, not fast, just one soft word. Mary. It was past 2 a.m., and my husband was snoring on the other side of the bed. I thought I was dreaming, but then I heard it again. Mary. This time it was closer. Cold breath touched my cheek, but when I turned on the light, no one was there. That was the night I knew something was wrong with my mother-in-law. She moved in with us in September. My husband said it was just for a while, maybe 1 or 2 months. She was old and her blood pressure was high. She needed help. I didn't argue. I grew up respecting elders. I just smiled and said, "Okay." But from the first day, I knew she didn't like me. She didn't hide it. She would talk to my husband in Igbo, then look at me and hiss. She never greeted me unless he was around, and when I cooked, she never ate the food. She would boil yam and eat alone in her room. Still, I tried. I greeted her every morning. I cleaned her room. I even bought her the same shea butter she used to rub on her knees. But she never said thank you, just stared at me with those small, sharp eyes. The dreams started 2 weeks after she moved in, the same one, over and over. I would be standing in a dark forest. I couldn't see anything, just trees and shadows. Then I'd hear a voice calling my name. Mary, Mary, Mary. It always came from behind, but when I turned, there was no one. In the dream, I always tried to run, but my feet would sink into the ground, like wet sand. Then from the trees, a black figure would come crawling toward me. It looked like a woman, but her limbs were too long, too thin. Her head was bent backward, and she had no eyes. Just a mouth, wide open like she was screaming, but no sound came out. Every time I had the dream, I woke up shaking. Sometimes I couldn't breathe. My chest would be tight, like something was pressing on it. I told my husband. He laughed it off, said maybe I was just stressed from work, that his mother wouldn't hurt a fly. "She's just old-fashioned," he said. But I knew it wasn't normal. One night, I went to the kitchen to get water. The house was dark. I didn't want to wake anyone, so I didn't turn on the lights. But when I reached for the fridge, I saw movement in the corner of my eye. At first, I thought it was our cat. But then I heard a soft giggle. Not a child's giggle, an old woman's, dry, broken. And then a whisper, "Mary, you can't hide." I froze. I turned around slowly, and there she was, my mother-in-law, sitting on the floor, wearing only her wrapper. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't looking at me. She was rocking back and forth, whispering something I didn't understand. I stepped back. The fridge door slammed shut by accident, and she jerked her head toward me like a lizard. I ran upstairs and locked the door. The next morning, I asked her what she was doing on the floor at night. She looked at me and smiled for the first time. "I don't remember coming downstairs," she said. "Maybe it was just a dream." After that night, I started locking our bedroom door every evening. My husband didn't like it. He said I was being paranoid and his mother was just getting old, and sometimes old people act strange. But it wasn't old age. It was something else. Things got worse. I started finding small things around the house, things I didn't understand. A bird's foot under my pillow, a dead lizard in my wardrobe, palm oil smeared on the inside of our front door in the shape of a hand. I tried to stay calm. I told myself, maybe it was just a rat that dragged the lizard in. Maybe the oil was a mistake. But then I found the piece of paper. It was hidden under our mattress, folded tight, smelled like charcoal and something bitter. When I opened it, I saw my name written over and over in red ink. hundreds of times. Mary, 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 Mary. And then one last line. Leave or die. I dropped it like it burned me. I ran outside and vomited near the gutter. I wanted to tell my husband. I really did. But something inside me said not to. That night, I burned the paper in a metal bowl. I didn't even wait. I just lit a match and watched it curl and blacken. But as it burned, the flames turned green for a second. Just for a second. And then I heard a knock on the door. 3 knocks. Slow. I didn't open it. I didn't move. I just sat there, holding the burnt ashes. The next morning, my husband said his mother wasn't feeling well. She didn't come out of her room at all. I peeked through the door when he wasn't home. She was sitting on the bed, eyes wide open, just staring at the wall, not blinking. I don't know if she saw me. I decided to visit my auntie. She's not a pastor or anything like that, but she knows things. She was born in the village and lived there most of her life. When I told her everything, she didn't say a word for a long time, just kept rubbing her thumb against her palm. Then she said, "You should have come sooner." She asked me to bring her something from the house, something that belonged to my mother-in-law, a piece of clothing, anything. That evening, I took one of her old wrappers, the one she had left in the laundry basket. When I brought it to my auntie, she tied it into a knot and placed it in a small calabash. Then she poured water, crushed leaves, and something that smelled like pepper inside. She started whispering. After a while, she looked at me and said, "She's not sick. She's doing it on purpose." "What do you mean?" "She's binding you. That's why you're seeing her in dreams. That's why your chest feels heavy. She's trying to chase you out." "Why?" "Some mothers don't like to share their sons," she said. "But this one, she's deep in it. She's done it before." I felt cold all over. Before. She used to live with her first son. His wife died in her sleep. Nobody asked questions. That night, I told my husband I wanted to stay with my auntie for a few days, just to rest. He agreed, but he looked worried. "Did something happen?" he asked. I shook my head. "Just tired." He said he'd come visit me during the weekend. I didn't argue. I just wanted to be out of that house. But before I left, I did one thing. My auntie told me to pour salt and dry gin at the foot of my mother-in-law's door before sunrise, and to not look back. I did it. My hands were shaking, but I did it. As I turned to leave, I heard movement from behind the door. Then I heard her voice. "You think you're safe?" she said. "You think you can run?" I didn't reply. I didn't look back. I stayed at my auntie's house for 3 days. The first night, I slept like a baby. No dreams, no whispers, no black forest. It felt like someone had pulled a thick cloth off my chest. But on the second night, around midnight, my auntie woke me up. She was standing in the corner of the room, holding her Bible in one hand and a broom in the other. She said, "Don't be afraid, she followed you here." I sat up quickly. "What?" "She's strong. I told you. She doesn't want to let go." I started crying. I asked, "What does she want from me?" "She wants your space. She wants you gone. She wants to finish what she started." We didn't sleep that night. My auntie burned incense and bitter leaves, mumbling prayers I couldn't understand. She poured gin on the floor and used a white cloth to wipe my feet. Then she made me sit in front of a small mirror and told me not to blink no matter what I saw. At first, the mirror showed only my face, but after a few seconds, my reflection started to move. Even so, I wasn't moving. My real body was still. But the woman in the mirror was smiling. Her head started to tilt sideways slowly. Then her eyes turned completely black. I screamed and shut my eyes. My auntie slapped my shoulder. I said, "Don't blink." can't. That's not me. That's not me." She covered the mirror and held me close. I could feel her heart pounding through her wrapper. She whispered in my ear, "She has tied your name. Your name is not with you anymore." "What does that mean?" "She's holding it in her mouth." The next morning, I told my husband everything. I was tired of hiding. I told him about the dreams, the paper under the bed, the things I found, the mirror. He didn't believe me. He just kept shaking his head. "My mother, number, she wouldn't do that. She prays every morning." I laughed. I didn't mean to, but I laughed. Prayers don't stop wickedness. He got angry and ended the call. Later that night, he sent me a text, just 2 words. "She's gone." I didn't know what he meant. I tried calling, but he didn't pick up. Finally, he replied again. "She died this evening, heart attack, in her sleep." My whole body went cold. I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel peace. I felt watched. I showed my auntie the message. She didn't look surprised. She just said, "When the mouth that holds your name dies, your name must come back." She brought out the wrapper again, the one I had given her. This time, it was stiff. It didn't feel like cloth anymore. It felt like stone. She told me to burn it completely before the next full moon. The funeral happened quickly. I went with my husband, but I didn't enter the main house. I stayed outside with my auntie. I watched people cry, eat, dance. Nobody knew what she had done. Nobody knew what she was, but I saw something. As they lowered her body into the ground, a gust of wind blew through the trees, and I heard a sound, just for a second, like someone hissing my name. "Mary." I turned quickly. No one was there. You'd think the story ends there, that maybe once she died, everything stopped, but that would be too easy. A month after the funeral, I got a letter in the mail. There was no stamp, no name on the envelope, just one folded piece of paper inside. It had only 4 words, written in shaky handwriting. "I am not done." After that letter, I didn't sleep well anymore. I kept it in a drawer at first, thinking maybe it was some kind of prank, maybe a cousin playing with me. But every time I opened that drawer, the paper would be in a different position. Once, I found it outside the drawer, sitting on my pillow. Another time, I found ashes under it, like something had tried to burn it, but only halfway. My auntie said I needed to finish the ritual. That burning the wrapper wasn't enough. She said the old woman had left a door open and was still trying to come through. She's dead but not gone. I asked how that was possible. She looked at me and said, "Not every spirit stays buried." I went back to our house. By then my husband had changed. He was quiet all the time. Didn't joke like he used to. Didn't sleep well either. He had dark circles under his eyes, and he barely looked at me. I asked him what was wrong, and he said, "I keep hearing her voice in the house, calling me, like she's still here." Then he looked at me and whispered, "I think she died angry." That same night, we heard footsteps in the corridor, slow, dragging. We both got out of bed. There was nothing there, but the floor was wet, like someone had walked through with muddy feet. My auntie came to stay with us for 2 nights. She brought a clay pot with charcoal, camphor, and dried herbs. She placed it in the center of the living room and told us not to move it. She also drew something strange on the front door using white chalk and palm oil. The first night she was there, we heard something knock on our bedroom window 3 times, just like before. But we were upstairs, and there's no balcony. That was the night the mirror cracked. We had a big standing mirror in the hallway. We heard it shatter around 2 a.m. When we ran outside, the glass was broken, but only the reflection part. The wood frame was untouched. On the broken pieces, someone had scratched words. They weren't in English. My auntie looked at it and said, "She's angry. You didn't return what she gave." I said, "What did she give me?" She looked me straight in the eye. Her son. It took me a moment to understand. All this time, I thought she wanted to chase me away. But she wasn't trying to remove me. She was trying to remove him from me. She wanted him back, to keep, forever. The last night everything happened, the air felt wrong, heavy, like we were underwater. My husband had a fever. He was shaking on the bed, whispering in his sleep. I tried to wake him up, but his eyes just rolled back. His mouth was moving, but no sound came out. Then the light bulb flickered, and the bedroom door creaked open. I swear to you, I locked that door. I know I did. But it opened, slow and quiet, and she was standing there, my mother-in-law, skin pale, mouth black, wearing the same wrapper she wore when we buried her. Her eyes were sunken. Her feet didn't touch the floor. She pointed at my husband, and she said, "He came from me. He belongs to me." I stood in front of him. I said, "No." She screamed, not loud, not like a human scream. It was like metal grinding on metal. My auntie ran in with the pot of burning herbs and threw it on the floor. Smoke filled the room. We both started shouting her name backwards. That's what my auntie told me to do, to break the tie. As we did, the light flickered faster. My husband started coughing, and the thing that looked like his mother started shrinking, fading, breaking into pieces of shadow. And then, silence. My husband woke up weak, like he had been sick for weeks, but he was back. He didn't remember much, just said he had dreams where someone was calling him, pulling him into the ground. We left the house the next day, burned the mirror, threw out the bed, painted the walls again. My auntie told us to never speak her name in the house again. We don't. Even now, 5 years later, we don't talk about her. We never show our kids her picture. We don't tell them her name. Because sometimes, when the house is really quiet, when the wind is blowing just the right way, I still hear that voice. Software slow, just one word, Mary. A few months later, I got a blank letter. I started hearing knocks again, but this time they weren't on the window. They were coming from inside the wardrobe. 3 knocks, always 3. Sometimes early in the morning, sometimes around 3 a.m. Once I opened it right after the knock. Nothing was inside, but all my clothes were on the floor, folded perfectly, even the ones I hadn't touched in weeks. I started locking every door at night. Bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. My auntie told me that didn't matter. "She's already inside," she said. One morning, I woke up to find a small pile of red earth on our bedroom floor. It was like someone had brought a handful of village soil and dropped it at the foot of the bed. I swept it away. The next day it was back, this time in the shape of a handprint. I knew I couldn't live like this. I told Eric we needed to move. He said no. He said, "We leave. She'll follow." He was right. So we decided to confront her one last time. Not physically, spiritually. My auntie said we needed to return her name to the ground. She explained that some spirits hold power because no one ever speaks the truth about them. So we had to say it all, aloud, what she had done, even if no one else believed, even if we were the only ones who remembered. That night, we sat in the living room with candles lit, just me, Eric, and Auntie Lydia. No lights, no phones. My auntie poured water into a calabash and told us to say her name 3 times. I said, "Rita." Eric said it. We both said it again. Then Auntie Lydia began. She tried to own what was not hers. She tied her son to her spirit. She put death where love should be. We return her to silence. She poured hot ash into the water. The calabash cracked. At that moment, every window in the house shook. The flame on the candle near me bent sideways, like something had passed through it. Then, silence. We didn't sleep that night, but the house felt different, still heavy, but calmer, like something had finally left. The next morning, we found the red earth one last time, but it wasn't on the floor. It was outside by the gate, a trail leading away. 3 weeks passed, no whispers, no knocks, no dreams. Then something strange happened. A letter came again, same handwriting, same shaky letters. But this time it said, "I am where I belong." I burned it without opening it fully. We never spoke of it again. But every year on the day she died, I leave a small bowl of water by the door, not as a gift, as a warning, in case she ever tries to come back. So she'll know we are not afraid anymore, and we are ready